What is up, Mutts? My name is Matt. I am from Purebred Mutts, and we made it, guys. We made it to part 4 of Sank, Frinatra. Thank you so much for being part of this journey and listening to me talk about the same things over and over again and saying that, oh, there's nothing too crazy about that over and over again. I know that I say it a lot. I'm trying to do better about it. I'm noticing it now. I can feel it in the comments, and I haven't even posted it yet. But anyway, let's get down to it. Let's do the normal stuff. If you haven't listened to the song, please, I definitely think it's a good idea for you to listen to it in context, so that way this can make the most sense for you. So you can find that on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Deezer, wherever you listen to your music, Google Play or whatever. You can find that on my profile, which is going to be Purebred Mutts, and the song is Sank, Frinatra. So thank you so much for watching. This is part 4 of 4. This is it. This is the outro, and this is the most relaxing part of this entire song for me. This is where we finally get to a point of peace and relaxation. And we've been trying to get here because there's been so much tension for like 3 parts, and I'm tired. This gives our ears a little time to relax and just enjoy ourselves. I want to give another thank you again to the 3 people who helped me put this together. My co-producer, Silas, my mixing engineer, Adamm Mitchel, and my mastering engineer, Matthew Wolk. They're all fantastic people, and I know that Adam and Matthew are taking project on. So I will leave all of their information below, so that way you can hit them up, and do hit them up, because they're the best that I know, and probably the best in the industry. I'm calling you guys out. I'm saying it, and if they aren't, they will be. So definitely hit them up. They have really reasonable rates, and they do kick-ass work. If you like the stuff that I'm putting out, I always mix with Matthew, or at least most of the time. My newer stuff I've been trying to do myself, but he's an absolutely fantastic mastering engineer. And then Adam is, I mean, I can't say enough about how awesome his work is mixing, and I believe he does mastering as well, but absolutely fantastic engineers. Definitely hit him up. I don't think Silas is taking any projects on right now. I'm not 100% sure on that. If he is, then I'll put some info in the description or comments below. And like I said, if you are listening to this on Spotify, feel free to check it out on YouTube as well. There's the actual video of me doing it, and I think that'd be pretty beneficial, especially if you actually want to see my session and everything that I dive into here. This session I have set up here, just as the other ones before, it's the exact same thing. It is the mixing session. These are all the stems I got from Adam, which are going to be the exact same ones that I play on the live tracking whenever I play like live shows. So these will be like my backing tracks and everything like that. These are the sounds you will hear when you hear me live, if we ever get to that point again, which may be never. We may be stuck inside forever, but that's just me. Whatever. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Let's get into it. So last time we looked into the bridge part, which I said was my favorite part. And it's just because I wish I was a SoundCloud rapper. And I'll never be that way. Just like I'll never be a quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. It's never going to happen, As long as Russell Wilson's there, there's no way. As if, if he wasn't there, I would. Come on. What am I doing? So let's get into verse number 3. Let's play the last little bit of the bridge and move into it, and so we can get a good context of where we've come from, so that way we can have a good idea of where we want to go. Let's roll. Waiting for this too. Do you see it now? All the time we've lost, all the love we waste, and at what cost? That's it, guys. We're done. I'm just kidding. Let's actually get into it. So there are a couple of main parts here. The first one is what I could call verse 3. Verse 3 goes into the outro, which has its different parts, but they're all very similar. So the verse 3 is the one that comes directly after the bridge, and it has two distinct parts to it. It has the acoustic guitar and it has the vocals. Let's start with the acoustic guitar and see where we go from that. So it starts off with So you'll notice that this sounds somewhat familiar, but not compared to the previous part. This is actually PJ Cavello's acoustic guitar with nylon strings, a Spanish acoustic guitar. It's back again from the first verse. And the reason being is because it's a callback to where we came from. We're back here again. We got what we wanted, you know? What did we have to give up? Anyway, that's a whole different thing. That's for the lyrics and for the storyline. This is just for the music. Come on, get focused. So it's PJ Cavello's acoustic nylon guitar, and it sounds dope. Oh my God. I mean, the way that Adamm mixed it was just gorgeous. I love it so much. And then same thing again, it's the two tracking takes that I did, spread them, and then, you know, he mixed it like a god does, and it sounds dope. The chord progression is the first chord progression that we learned, which is the A minor, D minor, F to an E, and then the E lets off on that kind of diminished chord, and that's all there is to it. So there's the acoustic guitar, and then there's the vocals. If I actually just let this do its thing. Do you see it now? All the time we've lost, all the love we waste, and at what cost? You'll notice one difference about these vocals compared to the first verse vocals. Do you see it now? And the first one is that there's no auto-tune. There's no auto-tune. There's no metallic-y vibe to it. I'm just sitting in a bathroom recording these vocals. Not literally, but that is the atmosphere that I tried to build around this. And I wanted it to be almost like a naked feeling, like everything is stripped away. There's nothing hiding what has happened. Everything is out in the forefront, and I'm on display, right? So these are my vocals. This is what I sound like for real. I don't sound all nasally and gross all the time. I do sing, and sometimes it's good. And I like to think that this is one of those times. So that's all there is to it with these vocals. Do you see it now? All the time we've lost, all the love we waste, and at what cost? Now, as much as I want to completely rip these vocals apart because I know I can hit the notes better, the emotion that I tried to display with them was the emotion I wanted to capture with it. So I'm not as angry. You'll notice in this part here, like I get out of tune. All the love we waste. Like, it's not in tune, obviously, but it's that kind of like weeping emotion that I wanted to create in it. So to an extent, it was calculated. I know I can hit that better, but it wouldn't have added to the emotion. It would have just sounded like I had practiced it a billion times, and you know, I took the best take, I chopped it all up. But this was just one take Drake, man. I got it done, and the emotion was exactly what I wanted, and so we left it naked and exposed, and I thought it worked. You know, for me, it worked a lot, and that is actually the end of like the main vocals. There's a couple like little oohs and ahs at the end, but that is all for verse 3. So it moves into this guy. Do you see it now? Verse 3, just the vocals and the guitar. Lost, all the love we waste, and at what cost? this is such a contrasting a moment, I think. So the vocals and the acoustic guitar cut out right here. You'll notice what we did is we cut out everything. So there's no there's no volume that comes from anything, maybe possibly a little bit of a delay, like a kind of echo that lingers on there. But what it does is it sucks out the air, right? And that's a little technique I've used in a couple different things, because the most unnatural thing you've ever heard is complete silence, because that doesn't exist. There's always some sort of noise, right? Whether it's just the air moving around the room that you're in, which is why one of the most interesting things to me is that room that like completely has dead sound, so you can like hear your heartbeat. But that just kind of proves the point. There's always some sort of sound, and we're used to this kind of like white noise around us. So what I do in that specific instance to create instant contrast between a sort of smaller part and a bigger part, rather than just like letting it die out and then have the big part, what ends up happening is you have a part that's it's got low energy and then it bumps up, and that works, sure. Or what I could do is I could have low energy, suck it out, and then pop it right back up really quick. And what that does is it creates a huge contrast and a big bam. And that's exactly what I wanted in that moment. Right there. And then there's no more 808 for the rest of the song. 808 is done. We are out of Trap City. We are here in electric bass land. And just like the first verse, the bass doesn't do anything crazy. It just extends out those notes. Let's listen to what it sounds like over here. Exactly. It just adds depth, but it doesn't take away the focus, because the focus actually becomes the acoustic guitar. We're back, baby. Acoustic guitar is back. So you'll notice that there's the two different bass here, two different electric bass tracks. Let's check them out. So this is the first one. Very plucky, and that one might actually end up being a synth bass, or we did something different to it to get that like immediate attack. It doesn't sound very fluid to me, and that's how I would normally play it. Maybe it's this guy. Let's listen to him. A second. Oh yeah, this is the electric bass, I believe. Yeah, you can hear that slide. That's the electric bass. The other one is a synth. You can hear it slowly kind of vibrato in and out of tune. That's all there is to it, man. Looks good. Together, it's a little more meaty. But all they really do is just add depth. You don't even notice them. The pluck is completely hidden by the kick drum, so that part of the sound doesn't even matter. It's all just the kick or the snare, and you don't even hear it. So why care? It's all about the meat that comes after it. So that is all for the bass itself. Let's move into the drums. What do the drums do? Nothing in the verse. Like I said, the verse 3 is just the acoustic guitar and the vocals. Let's listen to the drums. So those have some pretty cool little diddlies in there. Let's listen and see if we can find which track that's on. Looks like it's on this one. So this is that drum group, which has a whole bunch. It's like a cluster of a whole bunch of like loops and individual samples that I kind of threw together that brought us to this specific point. And it's that I didn't even notice that little part that kind of comes in and out almost with the hi-hat, I believe. It almost sounds like, excuse me, it almost sounds like there is a reverse hit that's happening, which you'll notice in whenever you take like a cymbal hit or something like that and you reverse it, it has that kind of, because it's like moving back into the actual attack and it reverses back into it. That's the kind of vibe I'm necessarily getting from that. I don't think I created that. I think that was part of the drum loop itself. And then you have the snare and then the kick, which are pretty cool just within themselves. And yeah, everything, like I said, it compounds within itself and it creates those, that sound. Yeah, it sounds really cool just by itself. Let's listen to it in context. It sounds really, really cool. You don't even hear the little diddly part up at the top, which leads us to, actually, let's do the background vocal part here really quickly. Let's see what we got. Those sound like trash, but in context. And those, I mean, completely my fault. Adam made gold out of crap right there, man, because that's definitely does not sound very good. But what ends up happening here is you have a choir vocal, which is something we got off of like an output, which is like a contact library that I got a while back. And this is kind of just one of the presets they had, just a male vocal or something like that, a little choir. The reason it does that stutter at the end is because we sidechained this one to the kick. So you kind of hear that with the kick whenever it comes in. You don't notice that it's ducking out because the kick is coming in and taking your attention. But of course, in isolation, you can hear it. Another time right there. So there's that guy. And then, I mean, let me just actually turn this guy off so you can hear the rest of them. Same kind of thing. It's just a naked vocal. There's no auto-tune on it. And if Adam did anything to it, it was very minimal. There's a lot of mistakes in there, but it just adds to the general vibe. It doesn't take away anything. If anything, it just adds space up to the top, which is why I left it in. And that's all for the background vocals. I actually think let's check out this one, see if it adds anything else. Okay, it does add some stuff. So on the second part here, so this is the verse, the beginning of the intro, it kind of repeats again, and then we get a totally different one. I think this is a higher up version of it with a little bit of a different kind of melodic line. Let's check it out. They sound really cool together. They kind of intertwine within each other. Let's check out the high one real quick. Yeah, so that one 100% has been tweaked. I bet it's just because Adamm, and I gave him full liberty to tweak stuff. You can tell that one is not as well hit as the other, and that's probably just because in the higher range, I have less control. Just honestly, I just have less control of the vibrato. The vibrato takes over significantly. I just need to practice more to get that, but I'm totally okay with him doing the auto-tune on that one because it adds to the vibe. It doesn't take away anything, especially when you start adding in these like long delays. You don't want to be accentuating bad notes whenever you do delays. So that is the background vocal. They sound really cool. In certain parts, especially at the beginning, it doesn't look like it would match up, but it matches up really good. I just realized you can barely hear the top part, and the reason being is because it is playing the exact same melody as the acoustic guitar, which brings us to the best part of the outro and the acoustic guitar. So we move on from the, let me actually, hide these parts. Let's see. Yes. So the verse is a lot more of the intimate nylon strings, and then it moves into the, what is it? Are they brass strings? I'm not sure. Maybe nickel. I'm not sure which strings I had on my acoustic guitar you saw earlier in the part 2 of everything. Let's move in here. This is the nylon string from the verse. Moves into the rhythm section of the outro with the, I believe those are brass strings. And then this is just the chord progression. It's the second chord progression from the first verse in part 1 that we were talking about, where it goes from the A minor to the D to the G to the C with the walk down C, B to the A minor again, which is a much happier chord, which fits really nicely for this outro, which is all about kind of, being in that home base and being like able to be comfortable and letting go of the things that kind of happened before, all the tension. It's a very meditative section of the song here. And so that is the acoustic guitar part, the rhythm guitar part. And the reason that it has kind of punchiness to it is because I didn't strum it alternating. They were all down picks, which allowed it to be a little bit more percussive versus me doing I was like sliding back and forth, because when you tend to slide back and forth, let me show you here. When you slide back and forth like this, where it's like this guy, where you're plucking this way and then plucking that way, you tend to not time it as well. So instead what I did was, all that did was allow me to add more percussive elements from the acoustic guitar and then also be able to be more on time. And that takes a lot of practice to get to that point. But that is the acoustic guitar section mostly, which leads us to, in my opinion, the coolest part of this section here, and that is the lead. Let's listen to it in context. So that is there's 2 solo parts of this acoustic guitar. Let's go to the first one. It's a very much Spanish guitar like. It's like flowy. It doesn't sit in any one spot, and it doesn't overcomplicate itself. It's just doing what the waves are pushing it to do. What is this song telling it to do? Where is the space it needs to fill? And that's it. Now let's add in the second part in conjunction with it. You notice he added some slapback to it. Those are just some hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's if you ever heard Thunderstruck by AC/DC, you know exactly what I'm doing. You ever heard anything by Van Halen, then you know what I'm doing, except way worse. But it's all on the acoustic guitar, and I did that just for the tonal experience of the acoustic guitar. Here's what that sounds like by itself. It's a very much additive rather than subtractive. By itself, it doesn't sound as cool, but in context, it sounds really nice. And both solos are panned separately, so one is left and the other is right. And just to give it a little more space, especially because they kind of glide in between each other, your focus shifts. At least mine does within both of them. Here's what they sound like. Everything is the exact same. It repeats one more time that exact same way, except when we get to I believe that is the third repetition. So, or maybe the fourth repetition, actually. So we do 1 where it's just the one solo, 2 where it's both solos, and then as we get to the third one, the solos actually change. It changes to this, which is the kind of slower part of the solo. It changes to this. And then the other one turns into this. All the same until this part here. And in context, they sound like this. And then what rings out is the ends of those guitar notes. And that's it, man. That is all of the song there. One part I noticed is actually a vocal section kind of coming back here. I believe it changes a little bit. Let's listen to that. That one seemed a lot less tweaked than some of the other ones, and that's obviously the dry vocal, maybe with a little bit of a distortion or saturation on there. And that all together changes the tone of the chord progression, because it changes back into the F minor, I believe, or maybe it goes into the E there. I'm not 100% sure. And then, of course, the bass itself actually picks up as well. Adds a little bit more boom, 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 a little more life to it. And all of those things together culminate in a transition. So let's start from halfway through the third repetition and see where we move. We made it, guys. That's it. There's nothing else with this song. I am super excited with how it turned out. It sounds really cool, and it's got so many like intricate parts that I feel like I didn't really explore because I was putting them together, but I didn't really sit back and be like, wow, that moves into this and this moves into that. Like I wasn't sitting there trying to do that. It just found its place and it stayed there. And I feel like after you've listened to, who knows how many songs you listen to in a lifetime. I'm 24. I started making music when I was 14. It's been 10 years. Wow. Maybe I was 12 or something along those lines. And all the time in between that has been me trying to recreate those songs. And I feel like this has been a really cool culmination into all the songs I've been trying to recreate and, turn into something really interesting and unique. And I feel as though I've achieved it to some extent. I don't feel 100% satisfied. There's always more things that I could do to make it better, but overall I'm really happy with it. And I think I'm even more happy with it because of the work that Silas and Adamm and Matthew put in that really culminated in the song being really good. It was something that I couldn't do myself because I just didn't have the knowledge or the understanding to really add those other elements, both in just implementing them instrumentally and then putting them in space of the stereo and the space within the song itself that Adamm did, and then mastering it and putting it together in a way that's like uniform, because they're four distinct parts that have all kind of fused together to make something really cool and magical, in my opinion. And I really hope that this dive into, the four parts of Sank Frinatra were interesting and informative to you. And hopefully now you can look back on it and re-listen and hear the small, intricate details that I put in, or Silas or Adamm or Matthew kind of put in. And, overall, I really hope that this has been a really fun experience for you guys. And as a send-off, we're just going to play the whole song. And I can't thank you guys enough for just being a part of this journey. And it's a lot of, me not really knowing where I want to go with things and just kind of exploring them. This song was definitely me trying to find out what I wanted to make and how I would make it and what are the systems that I'd put to help me get to a point where I think something great would be made, something that I'm really proud of. And I definitely feel like together we culminated in something that was really special, and I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of being a part of it, being the catalyst for putting it together. And I want to thank you guys again for participating and listening and just being so awesome and receptive to different kind of ideas. If there's anything in here within this 4-part series that you want me desperately to go into more detail with, maybe show up my actual tracking session before I even sent it to mixing, I would love to sit down, dive into it, and show you guys everything I can to hopefully make it so you can make really cool music or be more appreciative of music that you hear, a little more understanding of the process it takes to kind of put it all together. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them in the section below the comments on YouTube, Facebook. If you're on Spotify, feel free to head over to YouTube or Facebook to leave your replies. Purebred Mutts on any kind of platform, I am most likely there. And, all of that being said, I just want to really, double down on how much I appreciate you guys. And all that being said, it's part 4. We're done. We've gone through the whole thing. Let's listen to it front to back and go on with our lives. All right, guys. This is Sank Frinatra by Purebred Mutts and everyone who's been a part of it. Thank you so much. Catch you later.
Would you go away if the people say that you're not so tough and they're not afraid?